Ever wondered what it would take to create a miracle in your life? Imagine waking up each day knowing that extraordinary things are unfolding for you. Picture a life where your dreams are not just fantasies but tangible realities. How does that feel? The very idea of a miracle often conjures images of spectacular events beyond our control. But what if I told you that you hold the power to create miracles in your own life? Yes, you have the potential to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. It begins with a spark of belief, a spark of vision, and a spark of action. Miracles aren't reserved for the fortunate few. They are available to every single one of us who dares to believe in the extraordinary power within. Consider this. Every significant achievement in history started with a single thought, a single belief that something greater was possible. From the invention of the light bulb to the moon landing, these milestones were once mere dreams in someone's mind. The difference between those who achieve miracles and those who don't often boils down to one fundamental element. So, let's embark on a journey to uncover how you can ignite that spark and set a miracle in motion for your life. We all have moments of doubt, times when the odds seem insurmountable, but it's precisely in those moments that miracles are born. They are born from the unwavering belief that you can transform your reality, that you can turn challenges into opportunities and dreams into achievements. To get a miracle going for your life, you must first embrace the power of belief. This belief is not just about hoping for the best, but about knowing deep within that you are capable of greatness. It's about recognizing that within you lies the potential to achieve remarkable things. Think about it. Every time you've accomplished something significant, it started with a belief, a vision of what could be. Perhaps you've experienced this in your own life. Moments when you believed in something so strongly that it came to fruition against all. That's the power we're talking about today. This belief is the foundation upon which miracles are built. It's the bedrock that supports your vision and fuels your actions. When you truly believe that a miracle is possible for you, you open the door to endless possibilities. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles, and you find the strength to keep going when others give up. So, as we delve deeper into this journey, I want you to hold on to this belief. Let it be the guiding light that illuminates your path. Let it inspire you to dream bigger, to reach higher, and to push beyond your current limitations. Remember, the miracle starts with you, with your belief in the extraordinary power within you. Now, let's take this foundation of belief and build upon it. Let's explore how you can craft a compelling vision that will guide you towards your miracle. A vision so clear and inspiring that it becomes your roadmap to success. Because when you combine belief with vision, you set the stage for truly miraculous outcome. Belief is where it all starts. It's the foundation upon which dreams are built and miracles are manifested. Without belief, even the grandest vision remains just a fleeting thought. But with belief, that vision becomes a blueprint for action, a roadmap to the extraordinary. Consider this. Belief is like the roots of a mighty tree. Just as roots provide nourishment and stability, belief gives you the strength and confidence to grow, to reach for the sky, and to weather the storms of life. It anchors you firmly, allowing you to stand tall and pursue your dreams with unwavering determination. Reflect for a moment on the most inspiring figures in history, individuals who have achieved remarkable feats against all odds. What set them apart? Was it their intelligence, their resources, or their circumstances? Often it was none of these. It was their belief, a deep, unshakable belief in their vision and their ability to achieve it. Take, for example, the story of the Wright brothers. When they set out to invent the airplane, many thought they were chasing an impossible dream. Yet their belief in the possibility of flight fueled their relentless pursuit, leading to one of the most transformative inventions in human history. Their story is a testament to the power of belief. It's a reminder that when you believe in something with all your heart, you can turn the impossible into the possible. Now let's bring this closer to home. Think about a time in your own life when you accomplished something significant. Maybe it was landing your dream job, overcoming a personal challenge, or achieving a long-held goal. What was at the heart of that achievement? Was it not your belief that you could make it happen? That belief was the spark that ignited your efforts and drove you to success. Belief is not just a passive state of mind. It's an active, dynamic force that shapes your reality. It influences your thoughts, your actions, and ultimately your results. When you believe in yourself and your vision, you approach challenges with a positive mindset and a can-do attitude. You see opportunities where others see obstacles, and you persist in the face of adversity. But how do you cultivate such a powerful belief? It starts with self-awareness and self-affirmation. Take time each day to acknowledge your strengths and achievements. Remind yourself of your past successes and the qualities that brought you there. Surround yourself with positive influences, people who uplift you, books that inspire you, and environments that energize you. These elements nourish your belief, just as sunlight and water nourish a growing tree. Another key to strengthening your belief is to visualize your success. Picture yourself achieving your goals and living your dreams. See it clearly in your mind's eye and feel the emotions that come with that success. This practice not only reinforces your belief, but also aligns your subconscious mind with your desired outcomes, making it more likely that you will achieve them. Belief is also about embracing a growth mindset. Understand that failures and setbacks are not the end, but stepping stones on the path to success. When you view challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, you strengthen your belief in your ability to overcome them. You develop resilience, the ability to bounce back stronger, and the courage to keep moving forward. Remember, belief is a choice. You can choose to believe in your potential, your dreams, and your ability to create miracles in your life. This choice sets you on a path of continuous growth and achievement, leading to outcomes that others might consider miraculous. Picture this. You've embraced the power of belief, and now it's time to take the next step. How do you transform that belief into a tangible reality? It starts with vision. Vision is the beacon that lights your path, the detailed blueprint of your dreams turned into reality. Imagine you are an architect of your own life. Your vision is the master plan, the detailed sketch of what you desire to create. Without a clear vision, even the strongest belief can wander aimlessly, lacking direction and purpose. But with a compelling vision, your belief has a destination, a clear path to. Think of your vision as the destination on a map. When you know exactly where you're headed, every step you take brings you closer to that destination. Without a clear vision, you may take many steps, but end up nowhere. So how do you craft a vision that will guide you to your miracle? Start by dreaming big. Allow yourself to imagine a life without limits, a life where your most cherished dreams have come true. Close your eyes and visualize this life in vivid detail. What do you see? Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? How do you feel? Let your imagination paint a picture so clear and vibrant that it feels almost real. Next, put this vision into words. Writing down your vision is a powerful step in bringing it to life. Describe your ideal life with as much detail as possible. Write about your goals, your dreams, and the person you aspire to be. This written vision becomes your guiding star, a constant reminder of what you are working towards. Consider that your great achievement began with a vision. When Martin Luther King Jr. spoke of his dream, he painted a vivid picture of a future where equality and justice prevailed. His vision inspired millions and became a driving force for change. Your vision can have the same power in your life. It can inspire you, motivate you, and keep you focused on your path. But a vision is more than just a dream. It's a commitment to a future that you are willing to work towards. It's a declaration of what you want to achieve and a promise to yourself to pursue it with determination and passion. This commitment transforms your vision from a mere wish into a powerful force that drives your actions and decisions. Now, let's take it a step further. To truly bring your vision to life, you must believe in it with all your heart. Believe that it is possible and that you are capable of achieving it. This belief fuels your vision, giving it the energy and momentum to move forward. When you believe in your vision, you approach each day with purpose and enthusiasm, ready to take the actions necessary to bring it to fruition. Visualizing your success is another powerful tool. Spend a few minutes each day imagining yourself living your vision. See yourself achieving your goals, overcoming obstacles, and celebrating your successes. Feel the emotions of joy, pride, and fulfillment that come with living your dream. This practice not only strengthens your belief, but also aligns your subconscious mind with your desired outcomes, making it more likely that you will achieve them. Your vision should also be flexible, allowing room for growth and adaptation. Life is full of surprises and opportunities, and a flexible vision allows you to adjust your course while staying true to your ultimate destination. Embrace change and see it as a part of your journey towards your miracle. As we continue this journey, let's remember that a clear and compelling vision is the foundation of your miracle. It provides direction, inspiration, and motivation, guiding you towards your goals with purpose and clarity. With belief as your foundation and vision as your guide, you are well on your way to creating the miracles you seek. Now, let's build on this vision and explore how you can set meaningful and achievable goals that will turn your vision into reality. Goals that will serve as the stepping stones on your path to success, bringing you closer to your miracle with each step you take. Think about this. You've embraced the power of belief and crafted a compelling vision for your life. Now, how do you transform that vision into reality? The answer lies in setting goals, the practical steps that bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Goals are the stepping stones that turn your dreams into achievable milestones. I imagine your vision as a grand journey. Goal the map that guides you, providing direction and focus for each step you take. Without goals, even the most inspiring vision can remain a distant dream, but with clear, well-defined goals, you create a roadmap to success. Let's start with the importance of specificity in goal setting. Vague goals lead to vague results, but specific goals provide clarity and direction. Instead of saying, I want to be successful, define what success looks like for you. Is it achieving a certain position in your career, reaching a financial milestone, or improving your health? The more specific you are, the clearer your path becomes. Consider breaking down your vision into smaller, actionable goals. Think of these goals as the milestones along your journey. What are the key steps you need to take to move closer to your vision? These steps become your goals. For instance, if your vision is to achieve financial independence, your goals might include saving a specific amount each month, investing in learning new skills, or starting a side business. Make sure your goals are SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Specific goals provide a clear direction. Measurable goals allow you to track your progress. Achievable goals ensure you set realistic targets. Relevant goals keep you aligned with your vision, and time-bound goals create a sense of urgency and focus. For example, instead of setting a goal to save more money, set a specific goal to save $500 per month for the next 12 months. This goal is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to your vision of financial independence, and time-bound. As you achieve each goal, you build momentum and confidence. Celebrate these successes, no matter how small, as they bring you closer to your vision. Each goal achieved is a step forward, a proof that your vision is within reach. This progress fuels your motivation and strengthens your belief in your ability to achieve your miracle. It's also crucial to stay flexible with your goals. Life is dynamic and circumstances can change. Be open to adjusting your goals as needed while keeping your ultimate vision in sight. This flexibility allows you to navigate challenges and seize new opportunities without losing sight of your destination. Now, let's talk about the power of writing down your goals. Putting your goals in writing solidifies your commitment and serves as a constant reminder of what you are working towards. Keep your written goals in a place where you can see them daily, reminding yourself of your direction and purpose. This simple practice can significantly boost your focus and determination. Visualization is another powerful tool in achieving your goals. Spend a few minutes each day visualizing yourself achieving your goals. See yourself taking the necessary actions, overcoming challenges, and celebrating your successes. This mental rehearsal not only strengthens your belief, but also prepares your mind for real-life execution. Accountability is also key to achieving your goals. Share your goals with a trusted friend, mentor, or coach who can provide support and hold you accountable. Regularly update them on your progress and seek their feedback and encouragement. This external accountability can keep you motivated and on track. Remember, goals are not just about achieving specific outcomes. They are about the growth and transformation you experience along the way. Each goal you set and achieve contributes to your personal development, enhancing your skills, knowledge, and confidence. As we move forward, let's build on the foundation of belief, vision, and goals. Let's explore how taking consistent, purposeful action is the catalyst that will bring your miracle to life. Because when you combine belief, vision, and goals with action, you create an unstoppable force that can turn even the grandest dreams into reality. Now that you've embraced belief, crafted a compelling vision, and set clear goals, let's talk about the real game changer. Action. Imagine you've built a powerful engine with belief, vision, and goals, but what's the fuel that makes this engine run? It's action. Action is the catalyst that turns your dreams into reality, the force that propels you from where you are to where you want to be. Think of action as the bridge between your current reality and your desired future. Without action, even the most profound belief and the clearest vision will remain mere potential, unrealized and dormant. But with action, you breathe life into your dreams, transforming them from thoughts and plans into tangible results. Consider this: every great achievement in history was brought to life through action. From the building of the pyramids to the development of modern technology, it was action that turned vision into reality. Those who dared to act, who took the first step, often against all odds, are the ones who changed the world. Now, let's make it personal. What are the actions you can take today to move closer to your vision? It doesn't have to be a giant leap. Sometimes the smallest step in the right direction can be the most significant. What's important is to start, to take that first step, and then the next, and the next. Each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. Action requires courage and commitment. It means stepping out of your comfort zone and doing what needs to be done, even when it's uncomfortable or challenging. It means showing up every day and putting in the effort, no matter how small, to move closer to your vision. Let's talk about consistency. Consistent action is the secret sauce of success. It's not about occasional bursts of effort, but about steady, regular steps that accumulate over time. Think of it as the compound interest of personal growth. Just as small, consistent investments can grow into significant wealth. Small, consistent actions can lead to monumental achievements. Imagine a stonecutter hammering away at a rock, perhaps 100 times without so much as a crack showing in it. Yet, at the 101st blow, it splits in two. Was it the last blow that did it? Of course not. It was the consistent, persistent effort applied over time. That's the power of consistent action. Another key aspect of action is resilience. Taking action means facing obstacles and setbacks. It's a given that the path to success is rarely smooth, but it's not the obstacles that define your journey. It's how you respond. Resilience is the ability to bounce back, to keep moving forward despite the challenges. It's about seeing failures not as the end, but as stepping stones to success. Now, let's delve into the mindset that fuels action. It's about cultivating a proactive attitude where you take ownership of your journey, Instead of waiting for the perfect moment or ideal circumstances, you create your own opportunities. You take initiative, make decisions, and act on them. This proactive mindset empowers you to be the driver of your destiny rather than a passenger waiting for things to happen. Accountability is also crucial in maintaining consistent action. Find a mentor, a coach, or a trusted friend who can hold you accountable, who can support you, challenge you, and keep you on track. Share your goals with them and regularly update them on your progress. This accountability creates a sense of responsibility and urgency, driving you. Finally, celebrate your progress. Each action you take, each step you move closer to your goal is a victory. Acknowledge these small wins as they fuel your motivation and reinforce your commitment to your vision. Celebrating progress, no matter how small, keeps the momentum going and reminds you of how far you've come. As we continue this journey, let's remember that action is the heartbeat of achievement. It's the catalyst that transforms belief, vision, and goals into reality. With every step you take, you move closer to your miracle, creating a life that reflects your highest aspirations. Now let's explore how persistence, the unwavering commitment to your actions, fuels the journey towards your miracle, ensuring that you stay the course and achieve the extraordinary outcomes you desire. Imagine you've embraced belief, crafted a vision, set your goals, and taken the first steps in action. What keeps this momentum going? What ensures that you don't just start the journey but see it through to the end? The answer is persistence. Persistence is the driving force behind every miracle. It's the unwavering commitment to continue to push forward and to keep striving no matter what challenges arise. Consider this. Every significant achievement, every breakthrough has a common thread: persistence. Think of Thomas Edison, who faced thousands of failed experiments before perfecting the light bulb. When asked about his repeated failures, Edison famously remarked, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His persistence, his refusal to give up, is what turned his vision into reality. Now let's reflect on your journey. What dreams and goals are you pursuing? What challenges have you faced along the way? It's easy to feel discouraged when obstacles arise, but this is precisely when persistence becomes most valuable. It's the force that drives you to keep going, to adapt, to find new solutions, and to overcome the barriers that stand in your way. Persistence is not just about enduring. It's about enduring with purpose. It's about maintaining a clear focus on your vision and goals, even when the path is tough. It's about being resilient, bouncing back from setbacks, and using every challenge as an opportunity to grow and learn. Think of persistence as the fuel that powers your journey. Just as a car needs fuel to keep moving, your journey to achieving your miracle requires the continuous fuel of persistence. Without it, even the most powerful engine will eventually come to a halt. But with persistence, you have the energy and determination to keep moving forward, no matter how long the journey or how difficult the road. First, consider the story of Colonel Sanders, the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken. At the age of 65, after receiving his first Social Security check, he decided to start a new business. Armed with his chicken recipe, he faced rejection after rejection, more than 1,000 times before finding success. His story is a testament to the power of persistence. It's a reminder that success often requires enduring many no's to find the one yes that changes everything. So how do you cultivate persistence? Start by developing a strong why, a compelling reason behind your goals. Your why is a deep-rooted motivation that keeps you going when times get tough. It's the emotional driver that fuels your persistence. Reflect on why your vision is important to you, what it means for your life, and how it will impact those around you. This clarity will strengthen your resolve and keep you focused on your journey. Next, break your goals into smaller, manageable tasks. Large goals can sometimes feel overwhelming, but breaking them down into bite-sized actions makes them more attainable. Celebrate each small victory along the way as these successes build momentum and reinforce your persistence. It's also important to embrace a mindset of continuous improvement. View challenges and setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to improve? This mindset transforms obstacles into stepping stones, making you more resilient and adaptable. Surround yourself with positive influences. Seek out mentors, friends, and colleagues who support your vision and encourage your persistence. Their support and encouragement can provide valuable perspective and motivation, especially during challenging times. Another key to persistence is maintaining a healthy balance. Take care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Rest when needed, recharge your energy, and keep your mind and body in optimal condition. A well-balanced life enhances your ability to stay persistent and focused on your goals. As we continue this journey, remember that persistence is the key that unlocks the door to your miracle. It's the force that drives you to keep moving forward, to overcome obstacles, and to achieve the extraordinary. With persistence, you transform belief, vision, and action into lasting success. Imagine for a moment you've harnessed the power of belief, crafted a vivid vision, set clear goals, and committed to unwavering persistence. What's the final piece that brings this all together? It's your mindset. The right mindset is the fertile ground in which the seeds of miracles grow and flourish. Cultivating a miracle mindset is about embracing attitudes and beliefs that empower you to see opportunities in every challenge and to remain resilient in the face of adversity. Think about this. How do you react when faced with a setback? Do you see it as a roadblock or as a stepping stone? Your mindset determines your response and, ultimately, your success. A miracle mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities and challenges into chances to grow. It's the perspective that every experience, no matter how difficult, brings you one step closer to your miracle. Consider the mindset of great achievers throughout history. They faced failures, rejections, and countless challenges, yet they persisted and succeeded. What set them apart? It was their mindset. They believed in their potential, embraced challenges, and maintained a positive outlook, no matter the circumstances. Let's explore how you can cultivate a miracle mindset. It starts with embracing a growth mindset, the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. This mindset fuels a love for learning and resilience essential for great accomplishments. When you believe that you can grow and improve, you're more likely to embrace challenges, persist through difficulties, and see failures as opportunities to learn. Ask yourself this: how can I grow from this experience? Each challenge is a lesson in disguise, offering valuable insights and opportunities for growth. By adopting this perspective, you transform setbacks into stepping stones and failures into feedback, propelling you forward on your journey. Another key aspect of a miracle mindset is optimism, the unwavering belief that positive outcomes are possible. Optimism is more than just positive thinking. It's a deep-seated belief that you have the power to create a better future. It's about focusing on solutions rather than problems, on possibilities rather than limitations. This optimistic outlook keeps you motivated and energized, even when the going gets tough. Visualize your success. Spend time each day imagining yourself achieving your goals, overcoming obstacles, and living your vision. See it clearly in your mind's eye and feel the emotions of success. This visualization not only strengthens your belief, but also programs your subconscious mind to seek out opportunities and solutions that align with your goals. Gratitude is another powerful component of a miracle mindset. By focusing on what you're grateful for, you shift your attention from what's lacking to what's abundant in your life. This shift in focus enhances your sense of well-being, reduces stress, and opens your mind to new possibilities. Start each day by reflecting on a few things you're grateful for, and notice how this simple practice transforms your outlook and energy. Surround yourself with positivity. The people you spend time with, the information you consume, and the environment you create all influence your mindset. Choose to be around those who uplift and inspire you. Seek out information that educates and motivates you, and create an environment that supports your goals and dreams. This positive influence reinforces your miracle mindset, helping you stay focused and resilient. Lastly, embrace the power of self-talk. The conversations you have with yourself shape your beliefs and attitudes. Practice positive self-talk by affirming your strengths, acknowledging your progress, and encouraging yourself through challenges. Replace negative, limiting thoughts with empowering ones, and watch how this shift in language transforms your mindset and actions. As we continue this journey, remember that a miracle mindset is the key to unlocking your full potential. It's the perspective that empowers you to see opportunities in every challenge, to remain resilient in the face of adversity, and to keep moving forward towards your vision. With the right mindset, you create a powerful foundation for lasting success and extraordinary achievements. Now, let's reflect on the journey we've taken together, from embracing belief to cultivating a miracle mindset. Let's explore how these elements combine to create a powerful force for change, and how you can harness this force to achieve your greatest dreams and create miracles in your life. Consider this: you've embraced belief, crafted a vision, set your goals, taken action, and cultivated a miracle mindset. What remains is a crucial step often overlooked: reflection. Reflection is the process of looking back on your journey, extracting valuable lessons, and using them to fuel your continued growth and success. Imagine driving a car without ever looking in the rearview mirror. You'd miss crucial insights about where you've been and how to navigate ahead. Reflection serves as that rearview mirror, offering perspective on your experiences and guiding your future actions. Think about your journey so far. What challenges have you faced, and how have you overcome them? What victories have you celebrated, and what lessons have you learned? Reflecting on these experiences allows you to recognize patterns, understand your strengths, and identify areas for improvement. Consider the story of a young entrepreneur who faced numerous setbacks in his business. Each failure taught him something valuable: a better marketing strategy, a more efficient process, or a deeper understanding of his customers. Through reflection, he transformed these lessons into stepping stones, eventually building a successful enterprise. His story is a testament to the power of learning from the journey. Now let's apply this to your own journey. Take a moment to reflect on your recent experiences. What have been your biggest challenges? How did you navigate through them? What strategies worked well, and which ones didn't? By analyzing these aspects, you gain insights that can enhance your future efforts. Reflection also involves celebrating your progress. Acknowledge the goals you've achieved, the milestones you've reached, and the growth you've experienced. This celebration not only boosts your confidence, but also reinforces the positive behaviors and attitudes that led to your success. As you reflect, consider keeping a journal. Document your experiences, thoughts, and lessons learned. This practice creates a tangible record of your journey, providing a valuable resource you can revisit and learn from. Over time, your journal becomes a treasure trove of wisdom, offering insights and inspiration whenever you need it. Another powerful aspect of reflection is gratitude. Reflect on the opportunities you've had, the support you've received, and the progress you've made. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant, enhancing your overall sense of well-being and motivating you to keep moving forward. As we conclude this journey, remember that reflection is not a one-time activity, but an ongoing practice. Regularly take time to pause, look back, and learn from your experiences. This continuous reflection fuels your growth, guiding you towards even greater achievements and miracles. By embracing reflection, you turn every experience into a valuable lesson, every setback into a stepping stone, and every success into a foundation for future growth. With reflection, you create a powerful cycle of learning and improvement. propelling you towards your vision and ensuring that your journey is not just about achieving miracles, but also about becoming the best version of yourself. Now, as we bring all these elements together, belief, vision, goals, action, mindset, and reflection, let's explore how they collectively create a powerful force for change. A force that empowers you to achieve your greatest dreams and create miracles in your life, making the extraordinary not just possible, but inevitable. Think about the journey we've taken together, from the power of belief, crafting a clear vision, setting meaningful goals, taking decisive action, nurturing a resilient mindset, to the profound practice of reflection. Each step has brought you closer to embracing the miracle of your life. Now consider this. What will you do with this newfound understanding? How will you harness this powerful combination to create extraordinary outcomes? The key is to embrace your miracle with full confidence and commitment. Recognize that you are the architect of your destiny, equipped with the tools and mindset to turn your dreams into reality. Imagine waking up each day with a profound sense of purpose, knowing that you have the power to shape your future. Picture yourself living your vision, achieving your goals, and overcoming any obstacles with unwavering persistence. This is the essence of embracing your miracle, living with intention, action, and a mindset that welcomes growth and possibility. As you move forward, remember that every step you take brings you closer to your miracle. Embrace the journey with enthusiasm and determination. Celebrate your progress, learn from your experiences, and keep your vision clear and compelling. You have everything you need to create miracles in your life. The power lies within you, waiting to be unleashed. So, take the leap, embrace your miracle, and watch as your life transforms in ways you've always dreamed of. The extraordinary is within your reach. All we need to do is believe, act, and embrace your path to greatness. Time is the inexplicable raw material of everything. With it, all is possible. Without it, nothing. The supply of time is truly a daily miracle, an affair genuinely astonishing when one examines it. You wake up in the morning and lo, your purse is magically filled with 24 hours of the unmanufactured tissue of the universe of your life. It is yours. It is the most precious of possessions. No one can take it from you. It is unstealable. And no one receives either more or less than you receive. In the realm of time, there is no aristocracy of wealth and no aristocracy of intellect. Genius is never rewarded by even an extra hour a day. And there is no punishment. Waste your infinitely previous commodity as much as you will, and the supply will never be withheld from you. Moreover, you cannot draw on the future. Impossible to get into debt. You can only waste the passing moment. You cannot waste tomorrow. It is kept for you. You cannot waste the next hour. It is kept for you. I have said the affair was a genuine miracle. Is it not? You have to live on this 24 hours of daily time. Out of it, you have to spend health, pleasure, money, content, respect, and the evolution of your immortal soul. Its right use, its most effective use, is a matter of the highest urgency and of the most thrilling actuality. All depends on that. Your happiness, the elusive prize that you are all clutching for, my friends, depends on that. If one cannot arrange that an income of 24 hours shall exactly cover all proper items of expenditure, one does muddle one's whole life indefinitely. We shall never have any more time. We have, and we have always had, all the time there is. Arnold Bennett. Well said. Let me give you just a few tips on time management essentials. First of all, you run the day or it runs you. A little simple analysis. It's not that difficult to get something started, and you run it for a while, and after a while it starts running you. That's part of the challenge. I told my staff one day, giving birth to a tiger is one thing, learning how to ride it is something else, right? Sometimes you start it and then it turns around and starts giving you all kinds of trouble. Next, the time you've already committed to labor is enough time. If you're working already 8-10 hours a day, that's about it. You just can't work much more than that. Bursts at a time, you can work 12, 14, 16, right? I'm sure we've all learned to do that, put in the extra time. But after a while, you pretty well have to put your life in balance, or your health is in jeopardy, and your heart's in jeopardy, your blood pressure is in jeopardy, a lot of things, if you don't stay in balance. So you don't have to put any more hours, probably. All you have to do is just make better use of the hours. A cliche we've all heard. It's not the hours you put in, it's what you put in the hours that counts. Now also you need a written set of goals, time management essential. And if you don't have that list, we'll come up with that tomorrow. Priorities. And a constant review of your goals, because that's how you determine how to use your time, whatever priorities you're going for. Then you need a plan to achieve your goals. Another key is learning to separate majors from minors. That's high on the list. Making sure you don't spend major time on minor things. This is why you need to think on paper, put your game plan on paper to make sure you're not spending major time on minor things. Little phrase I have says, don't mistake movement for achievement. It's not that difficult to get busy. What you have to do is check to see what you're busy on. Because it's easy to haul out the trash and fix the screen door, get the car washed, take the kids to school. I mean, it's easy to stay busy, right? The key is on what? Next time management essential is concentration, zeroing in. Preoccupation is fatal, both on the freeway and in business. You got to keep your mind concentrated. I have a little rule that says, don't start the business day till you get to the office. I used to start my business day in the shower or at the breakfast table, and it just messed up a lot of things. I'm sitting at the breakfast table, guess where my mind is? At the office. I even got mixed up going to the beach and, trying to, do some relaxing time. But sure enough, when I'm in the office, I'm thinking about the beach. And when I'm on the beach, I'm saying I should be at the office. Now, see, that's mixed up. We quoted that little quote from the Reader's Digest in the evening seminar, right? Wherever you are, be there. If you're at the breakfast table, be there. When you're having a conversation with somebody, be there. When you're on your way to work, be there. Enjoy the ride. Take a look around you. What's going on? Study human nature. What's happening? Be there. And then when you get to the office, go for it. Next time management essential is learn to say no. Boy, it's easy to overload your calendar, get yourself into all kinds of time management problems simply because you didn't have the strength to say no when you should have said no. It's much more difficult to say no and then try to get out of it later, call back, make the arrangements, go through the whole embarrassment. Better to say no than to say yes and have to back out. Ron Reynolds has a good phrase that says, don't let your mouth overload your back. That's good. The next time management essential is when you work, work, when you play, play. That one I learned the hard way. See, if you're going to put in a day, just put in the whole day. And if you're going to take some time off, take it all off. Right, take the whole day off. If you're going to work a day, work a good, long, hard day. If you're going to play, play, play all day. Either work all day or play all day. Because guess what? If you're gonna knock off at 3 and go play, guess what you're thinking about all morning? Right? Knocking off at 3 o'clock. I mean, it just, it's one of those things. It's hard to zero in, on something and make it productive if you're making plans to do something else. Now, part of this depends on what you do and depends on your work schedule and the job you have and the business you have, right? I understand that. Everything we're talking about these 2 days needs to be altered and monitored and worked around to fit your particular situation. I understand that. I have a builder friend of mine up in San Jose. His name is Peter Paulson. Peter's got it down pat. Peter works a week and takes off a week. That's the way he's got it arranged. He's a builder. Now, it's kind of clever, though. See, he works 5 days, takes off 9. That's a little... He says work a week, take off a week, yeah, but it's really 5 and 9. Because it's 5, and then it's a weekend, and 5 days, and another weekend, right? So, but what Peter does, the 5 days he puts in, he works, 14, 16 hours, almost around the clock, keeps 2 or 3 secretaries going, gives all the orders, the accountants, the superintendents, the builders, the whole thing, gets it all arranged, and works around the clock for 5 days, and then goes, takes off. Now, you might not have the luxury of being able to do it that way, but just work on this. When you work, when you play. Okay, the next time management essential is analyze how you are, and then either compensate for it or change. Sometimes you can remain how you are if you just make other arrangements. My staff discovered I'm a poor courier. They said, Mr. Rohn, here's a check for Jerry Haynes. You're going to be up north, right, in the next couple of days? I said, yeah, no problem. Give it to me. I'll see that he gets it. Guess when I next hear about that check? From my cleaners. Saying, Mr. Rohn, we found this, right? Now, I say, look, I know I messed up that time, but, next time I'll make sure. See, but it just doesn't work. I'm not good at it. So we've got a little rule at our office that says, don't give the chairman anything, right? Don't. It won't arrive. He can talk good, but he's a poor courier. It won't get there. So you just got to analyze how you are and then make the compensations for it. Now, you can promise to change all you want, right? But if you're not going to, then make the other arrangements. I finally got somebody to help take care of reading financial statements and taking care of, a lot of corporate business and matters that I promised I would do myself, but I just never did get it done. And it used to be terribly costly to me for IRS and taxes. Unbelievable. But I finally got somebody to take care of that. At first it was Miss Mary. Ron Reynolds now handles a lot of it, but Mary Nasarowicz, back in those other years, she did it for me. I found her. She's a legal secretary and had a real estate license, and she was just terribly bright, has my power of attorney, bought and sold property, did a lot of these things, argues with attorneys and sits down with the accountants and goes through stuff with the IRS. And she just got good at it. And she took care of a lot of things that bailed me out more than once. IRS says I owe them an extra $105,000 one year. I said, $105,000? They said, yes, all these bank accounts and things we can't reconcile. Sure enough, back in the old days, I'd have paid the $105. This time I say, Mary. So Mary puts all this stuff together. I think she made one trip to Texas, one trip to Florida, gathered up all this information, and she had done such a good job that now it's time to go to San Francisco, meet the IRS with the accountants and the attorneys and, one of those sessions. And Miss Mary had done such a good job that when she finished after about a 3-hour presentation, IRS said, Mr. Rohn, fortunate for you, we will strike the 105. Wow, Miss Mary gets a bonus, right? Wow. Incredible. So if you're not going to change, see, if you're not going to do it, even though you promise yourself year after year, just then make arrangements to see that it gets done. So analyze how you are. If you're good at bookkeeping, then keep your books. If you're not, just don't keep promising. Just drop off all that mess, twice a week or once a month in somebody's lap and say, here, figure this out and I'll pay you to do it. Sometimes for $100 a month or something, $50 a month, somebody will just, calculate a lot of stuff for you. Just save yourself all the grief of promising and never doing it. So analyze how you are. That's very important. Next time management essential is beware of the telephone. beware of the telephone, a useful tool, but it can also get you into trouble. We got a little careless one time for a period of time. The telephone bill got up to $12,000 a month. In California, I mean, that wasn't international, that was here. Unbelievable. So you got to watch the telephone, and also you got to watch the telephone on time management. Here's one way to use the telephone. Make sure you make an agenda before you make a call. Make a little list of what you're going to talk about before you call. Don't try to think and call out of your head. We've learned to do this international. When you're in South Africa talking to Italy, you got to have an agenda. Otherwise, the phone bill goes crazy. And when you talk to any of our guys right around the world, you can just hear them kind of going through this list. Tick, 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 tick. You know, how are you and how are the kids and how are you doing, right? A few little pleasantries. Here's what I want to talk to you about. Tick, 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 right down through it. Wind up saying, hey, hope to see you very soon. Boom. But if you don't have this agenda, you wander around, talk about all kinds of things that probably aren't essential. And then you have that, at the end of the telephone conversation, you say, let's see, there was something else I was going to talk to you about. I can't think of it right now. If I think of it, I'll call you back. See, you just, great time waster. Also, when you make an agenda, it's really great when you come back to recall the conversation. Remember we talked about doing these 3 things? You say, no, we didn't go over that. Say, well, let me see. Oh, yeah. There it is in my log, the agenda of the telephone conversation. Okay, so use the telephone. Now, you got to beware of the telephone at home, too. Now, you might have to have some business calls at home, but you got to be very careful. The phone can be an incredibly disturbing influence on family and social, personal life. So learn to regulate that. They got the phones now, you can just shut them off, right? When somebody calls, it just sounds like you're not there. You know, the phone just rings, but you don't hear it. I can just let the phone ring, but some people can't do that, right? I've had people over at my house, my phone rings. They say, aren't you going to answer your phone? I say, no, we're having lunch or whatever, right? So you got to answer your phone. I said, no, you don't. I've had them go answer my phones. They say, it's for you. I said, I imagine it is, yeah. Come on. I also found out when you got teenagers, they got to have a phone. Because the teenagers can't use the adult's phone. Otherwise, you become a message courier, and they stay on the phone. And when you got 2 daughters like I had, they've each got to have a phone. 2 teenage daughters cannot use the same phone. For just a few dollars sometimes, you just save yourself a lot of hassle and a lot of trouble. And then finally we got the girls an answering service. Did. Otherwise, the parents become the answering service for the teenagers. You know, so do it not only for the convenience, but also for the prestige, right? Right? The girls say, call my service, right? I mean, really, it's neat. Just a few dollars a month, and you solve a lot of problems, have a lot of fun. It's part of lifestyle, right? How to spend your money. So, put the telephone thing together. Next, time management essential is have a certain time to solve problems. We found that helpful, especially in the business world. We say problems after 3. Just set them aside. Now, you don't ignore them, but you just set them aside in a certain time frame. All the problem calls, you just call back after 3 o'clock and just go right through them. Now, also, in setting them aside till 3 o'clock, problem comes in at 9 o'clock. And you say, hey, 3 o'clock, Mr. Rohn's going to get on the phone and make all these problem calls, right? Call back all these answers. Guess what usually happens between 9 and 3? Somebody calls back and says, hey, tell him not to call. We've already got it worked out. But see, if you take that call when it comes, sure enough, now you got to spend time. We learn in sales training. People ask questions. You say, hey, save that till training class. Bring that question to training class. You just learn those time-saving things so you don't have to cover the same things with each person. Okay. Next on time management is read all the books. Just get you some ideas on time management from the books. There's books by Bliss, McKay, Lakin. Because that's where you get the answers. Because everybody's got tailor-made situations that need different answers. So just read them all. You know, some of them's got some kind of weird stuff. Right? If you're weird, do the weird stuff, right? Whatever. Read it all. Next time management essential is be more alert. Part of the alertness is not only what's going on, but also be alert to looking at all your present procedures. You may have some old outdated procedures, stuff you've been doing for 5 years, and it's taken 10 hours instead of 1. Right? You could put it on a computer or something. You could just, go through, because it's easy to just accumulate a lot of wasted time, wasted motion by not, updating all of your stuff. You don't have to use the old, you don't have to use that anymore, right? The old calculators. They got the neat, easy stuff, right? Just go through and make sure you're not bogged down with some old, antiquated stuff that's wasting a lot of time. And then be more alert. Take a look at what's going around you. Say, hey, I've been going from here to there, and it's taking too much time. In sales management, we teach, don't go across town until you've gone across the street. Have they heard your story across the street? Guys, I got this hot prospect 40 miles away. It just probably isn't worth the time. It's too far. The span of distance is too long. Just shorten up the span. So be alert as to those kind of time wasters. The last one here is ask questions. When you get ready to talk to somebody, ask some questions. It might save you a great deal of time. Because it's easy to talk to somebody for an hour and then discover you've been on the wrong subject. Right. Or maybe you're talking to the wrong person. Say, who are you? Oh, yeah, John, I forgot. You're talking about somebody else's problem. No, ask questions. Then you can get right to the heart of the matter. And then after you've asked a couple of questions, ask a couple of more. Because you can ask somebody, hey, what's wrong? It's not going well, what's wrong? Guy says, well, I can't seem to get at it. And then you just go on, here's how you ought to get at it, and so on, when that's not really the problem. Most people at first don't disclose the real problem. Make sure you learn that in management. Most people at first don't disclose the real problem. They disclose the surface problem. Sometimes the real problem is the problem. Guy says, well, I got some problems at home. Says, oh, that's why you're not getting out there. I've been talking about hitting it when the real problem is something's wrong at home. Let's talk about that. See, just a couple of questions, and you just save yourself an hour. You save yourself talking too long about the wrong things just by asking the questions. Okay? And game plans, laying out 6 months, laying out a year. When you do business internationally, several corporations. We just formed our first Australian corporation. You just got to have game plans to lay all this stuff out. Otherwise, it just doesn't get done. Things get missed. Taxes don't get paid. The details don't get taken care of. You've got to learn to think on paper. And if there's one thing under time management we can get across that's major, that one is it. Now here's the last one, thinking on paper, and that's to keep a journal. One of the things I'm known for around the world, have been now for 39, 40 years, is keeping a journal. Now my journal is not it's not necessarily it's not like a diary. It might be part diary. I'm flying over Ireland and I write down a few little things that impress me. Today I met this person. Wow, what an extraordinary event. Today I conducted this seminar in Rome. 1,000 people stood up and sang for me. I've got a little bit of a diary in there. But here's what primarily your journal is for: collecting good ideas. A journal is to collect good ideas on your health, good ideas for your business, good ideas for your future, good ideas for time management. Because I used to take notes on pieces of paper and torn off corners and backs of old envelopes and restaurant placemats. And I threw all this stuff in a drawer. It did not serve me well. I finally learned to get a bound copy, right? And just keep a journal, right? If I was here, I had my journal, I'd be taking notes, right? These 2 days in my journal. Now, if you're caught without your journal, you just take the notes. When you get back home, you put those notes in your journal, throw the paper away. Because we don't usually go through paper to review. But see, my journals now make up a significant part of my own library. My journal's all reserved privately for my children and my grandchildren. Can you imagine what I've collected over the years? It's unbelievable. There are 3 treasures to leave behind. I think you've already got those notes, right? Here they are. Number 1, your pictures. Don't leave the event unrecorded. It takes only a fraction of a second to say, here's who I was with. When I travel the world, right? We take all these pictures, and here's one of the gifts. People send me the pictures they took of me and them. It's part of the treasures I have on the farm. Incredible. A picture's worth 1,000 words to describe the scene, the emotion, what happened. Say, wow, this was an extraordinary day for me when I met these people. Here's what they told me happened to them when they went to my seminar 10 years ago. Wow, the drama comes back if you've taken the picture. Let me just quickly give you a list of 4 emotions that can change your life in one day. Emotions are powerful. Sometimes it doesn't take much to alter your whole life direction. Okay, here they are. Number 1, disgust. Powerful emotion. Disgust says, I have had it. See, that could be the day. The day you can say, I've had it. And whether you've had it with something small or something major, the day you can say, I've had it, may not be the day it ends, but the day it begins. That's what I said when that little Girl Scout left my door when I'm 25. I give her the big lie, she leaves, I say, I don't want to live like this anymore. I've had it with lying and being broke. Powerful day. The man's finally had it with mediocrity. He's had it with being a loser. He's finally had it with those awful sick feelings inside, knowing his wife is at the grocery store looking at 2 cans of beans, one marked 37 cents, one marked 39 cents. And the guy sick inside knows his wife's going to buy the 37-cent can, and she doesn't even like the brand. Do you know why she's going to buy the 37-cent can? To save 2 cents. The guy sick inside finally says, I've had it. Being on my knees in the dust looking for pennies, we're not living like this anymore. Could be the day that turns your life around. The day you can say, I've had it. He walks into his closet and rips everything in it to shreds and says, I've worn this embarrassing stuff for the last time. And not only will I never wear it again, no one else will ever wear it again. Commit an act that says, I've had it. Powerful. Here's the next one. Decision. And decision-making is powerful. And it's emotional. That's those knots in the pit of your stomach, right? Waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, trying to decide. We sometimes call it inner civil war. What shall I do? Well, for progress, you must decide. The best advice I can give you came from a wealthy friend of mine who said, if it's easy, do it easy. If it's hard, do it hard. Just get it done. If you went home tonight and in the next few days cleaned up a whole list of decisions, that might furnish enough inspiration for the next 10 years. I found this out many times after you've decided. Getting on with it is easier than deciding. Sometimes decision is the toughest part. Here's the next emotion, desire, wanting to bad enough. And I don't know how to tell you to want to. That's something you've got to come up with. There's 2 things I know about desire. Number 1, it comes from inside, not outside. You don't send off for it. Number 2, I know desire can be triggered by something. Who knows what it might be? Sometimes desire waits and sleeps for something to happen. Maybe it's a book, maybe it's a song, maybe it's a sermon, maybe it's a lecture, a seminar, maybe it's the conversation of a friend, a happening, an event. Who knows? The best advice I can give you is what I give my staff. It goes like this: welcome every human experience. You never know which one is going to turn it all on. Even the bad experiences. Sometimes from the bitterest experience comes the greatest awakening. So let down the barriers, take down the walls. The same wall that keeps out disappointment keeps out happiness. Let life touch you. Don't let it kill you, but let it touch you. Here's the last one. This one's powerful. Resolve. Resolve says, I will. Two of the most powerful words in the language. I will. Benjamin Disraeli once said, nothing can resist a human will that will stake even its existence on the extent of its purpose. Shortly put, I'll do it or die. See, that's powerful. That could be the day that turns your life around. The world has a strange way of stepping aside when somebody says, I'll do it or die. The man says, I will climb the mountain. They've told me it's too high, it's too far, it's too rocky, it's too difficult, it's never been done before, but it's my mountain, I will climb it. Pretty soon you'll see me waving from the top. Or dead on the side, because I ain't coming back. The best definition I ever got from the word resolve came from a little junior high girl in Foster City, California, up north. I'm talking to the junior high kids one day. I love to ask kids definitions. They come up with beauties. I got to the word resolve and I asked, who can tell me what resolve means? And I got several hands, and they were all pretty good, but the last one was the best. Little girl, about 3 rows back, held up her hand. She said, Mr. Rohn, I think I know what resolve means. I said, darling, what do you think it means? She said, I think it means promising yourself you will never give up. I said, that's it. Webster, stand aside. That is the definition. Promise yourself you will never give up. I asked the kids, how long should a baby try to learn how to walk? How long? How long would you give your average baby before you shut him off? How long? See, any mother in the world would say, you're crazy. My baby's going to keep trying until it learns how to walk. What a magic formula. Now let me show you what triggers all emotions into activity that brings results. And results is the name of the game. Here it is. Action. Finally, you must do something about how you feel. Jesus, the master teacher, said, don't just be listeners, be doers. The world admires the doers. Whatever it takes to get you to try harder, read more, set your goals, and go for it. Here's the next attitude disease. Overcaution. Some people never will have much. They're too cautious. Now, you can also be too reckless, but you can also be too cautious. This is called the timid approach to life. And my caution was always the risk. Risk used to drive me right up the wall. I used to say, what if this happens? It's called the language of the poor. What if this happens? And on top of that, if this was to happen, look at the fix I'd be in. I better not try. I could always ace myself out. Then I'll tell you what changed my whole life when I finally discovered it's all risky. The minute you were born, it got risky. If you think trying is risky, wait till they hand you the bill for not trying. If you think investing is risky, wait till you get the tab for not investing. See, it's all risky. Getting married is risky. Having children is risky. Going into business is risky. Investing your money is risky. It's all risky. I'll tell you how risky life is. You're not going to get out alive. That's risky. The Englishman says, well, if that's the way it's going to work out, let's give it a go. Right, that's what it's for. Give it a go. Somebody says, yeah, but I'm looking for safety and security. Fine, then huddle in a corner. We'll cover you with a sheet, bring you 3 meals a day. And we'll protect you, feed you, look after you, care for you. We won't let anything happen to you. And you'll probably live to be 100. The guy said, well, yeah, I'd live to be 100. But what a way to live. Right. What a way to live, safe and secure. Don't ask for security. Ask for adventure. Better to live 30 years full of adventure than 100 years safe in the corner. And see, it's not important how long you live. What's important is how you live. Here's the next attitude disease. We're almost through with this motley list. In fact, we're almost through. Hang on. The next one is pessimism. Pessimism, the deadly disease of always looking on the bad side, the problem side, the difficult side, checking all the reasons why it can't be done. The poor pessimist leads an ugly life. He doesn't try to figure out what's right. He tries to figure out what's wrong. He doesn't look for virtue. He looks for faults. And when he finds them, he's delighted. How ugly. This is the poor guy who looks through the window, doesn't see the sunset. He sees the specks on the window. And this is the poor guy, right, who rushes up, takes such leave of his senses. This guy rushes up and he says, I've got 5 good reasons why it won't work. He's so dumb he doesn't know all he needs 1. He's got 5. To the pessimist, the glass is always half empty. To the optimist, the glass is half full. Why would the same measure affect people 2 different ways? Answer, it all depends on how you look at it. Our lives are mostly affected by the way we think things are, not the way they are. The way we think they are affects us most. There's a subject we don't have time to get into tonight called better thinking habits. One of the major things Shove taught me when I met him, he said, poor thinking habits keeps most people poor. Not poor working habits. Most people work hard, but they don't think hard. And Shove taught me that the mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. He quoted me a Bible phrase that says, as you think, so you become. How awesome. When he talked about poor thinking habits, he had me. I used to start the day reading the morning newspaper. I mean, you can believe that or not. I'd get a cup of coffee and read the paper. I'd load up on wars and riots and murders and stabbings and killings and bank robberies and muggings and car wrecks and tragedies. I'd even read the back pages. I seem to like that stuff for some weird reason. I'd load up on all that, and then I'd start the day. You can imagine the kind of days I used to have. You walk around on your financial knees. They call you economic peewee. The guy says, I want to be a great leader. Wonderful. The first thing we do is follow him to his house. When we get there, we walk in and check his library, number 1. Somebody says, well, why check his library? The reason is because what a man reads pours massive ingredients into his mental factory, and the fabric of his life is built from those ingredients. You would not believe what some people have got in their house to read. You would not believe. One of the best dressed up words I know for a lot of it is trash. Can you imagine dumping a barrel of trash into this mental factory every day and coming out with a rich, dynamic, positive life? It can't be done. You might as well try making a cake with cement. The kids back in Danbury, Connecticut, high school, they're asking me questions one day. I'm talking to the kids. Kids got good questions these days. One of them said to me, Mr. Rohn, how do you build the good life? I said, it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Here's how you build anything. Select the right ingredients, keep out the wrong ingredients, and it starts with thought. Everything starts with thought. So you must be wise and careful what you think about, because that starts everything. You got to be wise and careful. I asked the kids, what would happen if somebody dropped sugar in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be okay. I said, what if somebody dropped strychnine in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. Lesson 1. Life is both sugar and strychnine. You gotta be careful. I said, what if my worst enemy drops in the sugar? They said, will you be okay? I said, what if my best friend, even by accident, drops in the strychnine? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. Lesson 2, watch your coffee. You got to be careful. See, it doesn't matter who hands you the bad stuff. It doesn't matter where you get the bad stuff. It'll still do its damage on your bank account, wherever you get it. Mr. Schoaf gave me one of the greatest phrases when I first met him when he said, Jim, every day stand guard at the door of your mind. How important. Stand guard at the door of your mind. And you decide what goes into your mental factory. Don't let anybody just dump anything they want to in your mental factory, because you've got to live with the results. Okay, here's the last disease, and we're through with this list. In fact, we're almost through. Hang on. The last subject is very brief. The last disease, but this one is deadly. Engage in this one, indulge in it even slightly, and you might as well forget the future, because it's going to forget you. Complaining, crying, whining, griping, a Bible word called murmuring. See, that'll ace your future. Spend 5 minutes complaining, and you have wasted 5. And you may have begun what's known as economic cancer of the bone. Surely they will soon haul you off into a financial desert and there let you choke on the dust of your own regret. I hope I said that well, so you won't forget. It's a deadly disease. If you don't think it's bad, ask the children of Israel of Old Testament fame. Typical of us all, their story just happened to get in the book. Story says, children of Israel were slaves. God performed a series of dazzling miracles and got them out. And now they're heading for the promised land. Remember the story? Heading for the promised land. Tragedy of the story, they never got there. Reason. From day one, they started to complain. They griped about the water. They griped about the weather. They whined and cried and griped about the food. They griped about the leadership. They whined and cried because it was too far, too cold, too hot, too difficult, too miserable. I mean, they whined and cried for years. Finally, God said, I've had it, trip canceled. Or something like that. The story says they died in the desert, never got to the promised land. Which I think means two things. indulge in this long enough, you get your future tense. And I guess it also means even God himself can only take so much. Okay. Just be on the lookout of the things that can destroy all the good you start. The war is on. And this evening, tomorrow, mentally, personally, socially, economically, you got to make sure you're winning the war. And this is part of it. Learning by language to affect somebody else's life and mind. Learning by words and phrases and sentences to communicate with other people. Here's where part of the fortune lies. The use of language. There's magic in good communications. There's magic in the human touch of words. It was said the pen is mightier than the sword. That's true. Words are powerful. Words are almost godlike. I'm an amateur on some of these studies, but an ancient verse says, God was the Word, and the Word was God. Wow, powerful language to illustrate how powerful the Word is. Words can be life-changing. Words can give life. Words can formulate ideologies, democracy and freedom and capitalism and all the things we enjoy in this unique country. We have to find ways to give words to that so that it can be understood. Words form the pictures of our minds. Words help to translate an interchange of thought and ideas between human beings. So one of the most important skills is the skill of good communication. Learning words, phrases, sentences, whether it's written or spoken. Language is so powerful in affecting our lives and using those skills to affect other people's lives. So let's talk about communications and how powerful it is and how important it is. I've got 4 steps to achieve good communications. Let me give you this. Let's dive right into it. And I'm sure if you were to just ponder for a while, you'd probably come up with these same 4 steps. I'm not covering anything new. Right? These are just basic fundamentals. But here's where it all starts. Fundamentals. Somebody once said, being successful is not doing extraordinary things. Being successful is simply doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. So let's talk about some fairly ordinary things. See if we can't find an extraordinary way to put it into action. 4 steps to achieve good communications. Number 1, have something good to say. Right, that's obvious. Success is a study of the obvious, a refined study. So to achieve good communications, first of all, you've got to have something. In computer language, it's very simple. Nothing in, nothing out. You cannot speak that which you do not know. You can't share what you don't feel, and you can't translate what you don't have, and you can't give what you don't possess. So first of all, to give it, to share it, for it to be effective, you got to have it. So good communications, first of all, starts with preparation. Key word. Preparation is simply getting ready. And a big share of our life is simply getting ready, getting ready. That first 5 years was to get ready to start our formal education. The next 8 years. 8 years is a chunk of time, right? But after 8 years now, you're ready for high school. That's a long time. 5 years and then 8 more years. That's a long time to get ready. So now we go through 4 years of high school. And all those 4 laborious years are to get ready for college. Now another 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. 6 more years to get ready. Right? To be gainfully employed and earn a living and get out there in the marketplace and see what we can do. A lot of life is just simply getting ready, preparation. Now, to get ready for good communications, you got to spend part of your year, part of your day, getting ready for the next day, part of the week getting ready for the next week. It's so easy to be casual about not continually preparing for the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year. Getting ready. And this is one of the most important areas to get ready in. Good communications. Key word, research, continual research. It's easy to hope that the skills that you learned in the 70s will last through the 80s. Or the information you gathered during the 70s will be sufficient for the 80s, but not so. We've got to continually learn, continually grow. So keyword, research, preparation, getting ready. Preparation is like building an account from which to draw. When you get ready to talk, you want to make sure you've got a verbal check that'll cash. Here's the power in good communication. When what you say is only the tip of the iceberg of all you know, that's when communications becomes powerful. When what you say is only a portion of all that you know because you've gotten ready for this moment, this time, this occasion. I'm sure we've all been around some people who very quickly told us more than they knew. Didn't take them but a short period of time to run out of illustrations, to exhaust all their stories, probably meaning great lack of preparation, great lack of deliberately getting ready. Now, it is possible in some respects to prepare for life just by accident. You know, life does teach us some things by accident. There are some things you can learn by just careening from wall to wall and stumbling from day to day and staggering from week to week. I mean, you can learn some things that way. But the other 99% of what you need to know has got to be on purpose. Preparation on purpose. Good phrase. Am I engaged in preparation on purpose to get me ready to do in communication the skills that are necessary to take me where I want to go? Good question. And that's what we're here for, to ask some of the tough questions. When I met Mr. Schoaf, he asked me the tough questions. I'm 25 years old. He said, Mr. Rohn, you've been working 6 years. I started working when I was 19. Mr. Schoaf asked me a simple question. He said, Mr. Rohn, how are you doing? I said, not very well. Mr. Schoaf said, I suggest you not do that anymore. Wow, tough questions. Mr. Schoaf said, Mr. Rohn, how much money have you invested in the last 6 years? I said, what do you suppose, roughly? Not any. Schoaf said, who sold you on that plan? Wow, tough questions, tough questions. And it's so important for somebody to come along and ask us the tough questions and not let us get by with small numbers and small answers. So that's what I'd like to do, ask some of the tough questions. Let me give you now some key words that'll help us to prepare for good communications. Key words. Number one, interest. To prepare for good communications, take a new interest in life. Here's a good pledge to make at the beginning of the day. I'm going to be more interested in this day. I'm going to see if I can get more from the day. Boy, it's easy if you're not careful to just try to get through the day. But sophisticated people learn to get from the day. They don't want a day to go by without gathering up some new ideas, some new impressions, new color, new nuances, new sense of worth and value. They gather from the day, interest. And here's two of the major subjects to study with interest, life and people. Develop a new, sharper interest, new, sharper focus on life and people. What's happening, what's going on. Now, that new commitment to a new interest for the day will get you ready for the years to come with better communications. Because to say it well, you have to feel it well. To say it well, you have to know it. And to know it, you just got to go through the laborious process of gathering, extracting the information. So that's the first word, interest. Here's the second word, fascination. A bit beyond just simple interest. Interested people are probably satisfied that it ticks. It ticks. And that's good to know. It ticks. But fascinated people want to know what? What makes it tick? Fascinated people aren't satisfied usually with surface information. They've got to know more than just what appears. What's really going on? The hippies had a pretty good question in the 60s. What was it? The hippies. Good question they had. What's happening? That's a good question. What's happening? And sophisticated hippies say, what's really happening, right? What is really going on? What's making things tick? What's making things happen? Why do people feel like they do and think like they think? What is the difference between success and failure? Who has the appetite and who doesn't have the appetite? This whole fascination about life and people and circumstances and society and money and banks and churches and sermons and books and records and life experiences and enterprise and nations and color and races and religion and a whole fascination for this wide panorama of life and life experiences. I'm telling you, if you'll take a new fascinated look at life and what's going on, it will now show up in color and sharpness in your future communications. It'll have a new reach and a new depth. It'll have a new insight, a new excitement. Now, I've got a good experiment for you to try. The next time you're tempted to be frustrated, see if you can turn it into fascination. How to turn frustration into fascination. That's a good skill to try to learn. I'm sitting on the freeway in Los Angeles. My airplane leaves in 45 minutes. The traffic is not moving an inch. I am now fascinated. I'm telling you. Now, it doesn't work every time. I'm willing to admit that. Nothing works every time. But can you imagine the extra value you'll get from a frustrating experience if you just think about this? Can I turn this frustrating experience into something fascinating? I'll learn a lot more from it if I'm fascinated by it than just frustrated by it. So just try that little key. Try to turn frustration into fascination. And in a frustrating experience, if a smile comes across your face, other people will wonder, what's going on? But it'll just be private between you and me. The man taught me how to be fascinated, if possible, in a frustrating situation. Okay, turning frustration into fascination. The extra learning discipline, the extra learning skill. And I think this is part of it. Here's the next key word. This is a big one. Sensitivity. To really communicate well and to touch people in a wide range and from a wide range of experience, you've just got to have felt the experience. It's got to be part of you. Sensitivity training. Being touched by a wide range of human experience, perhaps even beyond your own. Incredible word said about the master teacher, Jesus. It said he was moved. Wow, that's a key word. It said he was moved with compassion. What was happening moved him. It touched him. Another phrase said he was touched. He was moved. He was affected. On more than one occasion, he cried. So part of that human drama of experience, I think, for us to really be able to reach people and touch people with words and ideas and emotion and phrases and sentences loaded with feelings, we've got to go into this area of sensitivity, being touched, being affected by our own lives as well as the lives of other people. Sensitivity. Being touched, being moved. This is part of the heavyweight stuff that starts to show up now in our language and in our communication. I've lived a rather sheltered life all my life, so I've had to really work on this. What do I know about tragedy? I've never had any tragedy. But part of the world is tragic. Part of life is tragic. And if you don't at least try to understand the dark side of life, the tragic side, the extreme sorrow side, your life is left a bit shallow. And sometimes when you live such a sheltered life, you just have to try to go outside of your own small world of sheltered experiences and see if you can't live as someone else might have lived, or at least try to be touched by the experience. Now, you can't really know till you live it. I understand that, but at least you can try. And if you do your homework here in sensitivity for a wider range of experience than your own, I promise you that extra worth will show up in your conversation and in your communication. When I lived in Northern California, I used to go to San Francisco 2-3 times a year, spend a day in the Tenderloin. For a farm boy from Idaho, the Tenderloin in San Francisco, what an experience. And if you just go spend a day, you get to see what we call the other side. And if you just spend a day there and walk the streets where those lonely walk and go eat where they eat and listen to some of those stories, you come away with a whole new sense of the great distance between failure and success. The whole distance between goodness and evil, between despair and joy. And you come away with more of a sense of value, because the true values of life come by the contrast. And unless you experience more of the contrast, Even the values you consider valuable become a bit shallow if you don't understand the contrast. It's hard to really appreciate winning until you've done some losing. It's hard to appreciate success until you've done some failing. And if you've done some failing, success now becomes a much larger worth and value and commodity if you understand a bit of the other side. So part of this is just deliberately go where experiences beyond your own touch your life to get somewhat of an education as to the contrast of life and the differences. It'll educate your mind and educate your spirit. And sure enough, that extra worth will start showing up in your sentences and your words. And they'll be weightier. They'll be heavier. They'll mean more when you talk to somebody. I met Frank, the bartender, in the Tenderloin. Frank is a bartender in this sleazy little bar. You wouldn't believe this place. Frank sees more tragedy in a week than most people see in a lifetime, if you work in one of those places. I'm visiting Frank one day, and Frank and I are talking. Frank says, see that lady sitting over there on the bar stool? And I said, yes. He said, how old do you think she is? I said, she's 45. Frank says, she's 25. I said, wow. He said, that's Cookie. Her name is Cookie. He said, Cookie used to be a go-go dancer back in the go-go days. But then he said Cookie developed some kind of bone disease in her legs and her hips. And he said now she's had all kinds of operations with the bolts and the pins trying to hold her together. And says now she's a cripple and she can hardly walk. So her go-go days are over. And sure enough, Cookie was very crippled. Frank says Cookie also has a little boy, 5 years old, and he's dying of leukemia. So he said Cookie comes several times a week, sits on that bar stool, and plays a little music to try to cheer up her life. And she usually drinks far too much, and gets wasted, and I have to call a taxi to come and take her home. Wow, I thought, Cookie, how come her life worked out like that and my life worked out like this? How come I get to travel around the world and Cookie finds it hard to even get home? That kind of exposure, that kind of sensitivity, that kind of study. Now, you can't really know it unless you live there. I understand that. But you can go a great deal into trying to understand a wider range of human experience. And if you will try to let those experiences touch you, let them affect you, let them educate you, let them give you a broader range of emotional wealth and worth, I'm telling you, that extra worth will start showing up in your language, in your words, and in your sentences. And you'll be able to touch people that you couldn't touch before. You'll be able to reach people you couldn't reach before you had the experience. Your words will have more of a drawing than they had before just by going through some of these experiences. So I'm asking you to consider the word sensitivity and ask yourself, what could I do and what experiences could I make sure that I engage in that would give me a broader range of understanding of human suffering as well as human joy, of the dilemma as well as the confidence, of the joy as well as the sorrow, of the success as well as the failures of life, and try to gain an understanding in a broader sense, and let that have an effect on your future ability to touch and reach somebody else. Key word, sensitivity. Here's number 4, knowledge. Good communication starts with this laborious task of gathering knowledge. And I've got a parenthesis for you to make, working knowledge. Knowledge that you deliberately gather that will work for you in the future. This is why Shoaff taught me to keep these journals. He said, gather working knowledge. Knowledge that you go back over. Knowledge that you review. Ideas that you go back through one more time to see if you can't find the extra meaning, the extra depth, the extra worth, the extra value. Working knowledge. Your library, the books you read, the deliberate attempt to broaden your understanding. That's very important in bettering your communication skills. An ever-increasing amount of the refinement of intellect. That's so important, this working knowledge. We covered interest, we covered fascination, we covered sensitivity, and we covered knowledge. Now, I've said all this to support my number 1 point in good communications. Have something good to say. I was asked to give a talk, this has been many years ago now, to a service club. And I was trying to think of a good topic for my noon lecture. And I came up with this, the 4 ifs that make life worthwhile. And I thought it was something good to say. Let me just pass it along to you, in case somebody asks you to make a speech. Now, tell them where you got it, please. The 4 ifs that make life worthwhile. Life is worthwhile, number 1, if you learn. Life is worthwhile if you learn. Your own experience can be a great teacher. The last 3 years, you've probably been doing it right or been doing it wrong. Mr. Schoaf pointed out to me when I was 25, he said, don't ignore the last 6 years. 6 years is a pretty good chunk of time to go over and evaluate and put it on the scales and say, it either weighs or it doesn't weigh. You're either on track or off track. Let's take a look at our own experience. Another big way to learn is from other people's experiences. Might as well gather up someone else's experiences. OPE, we call it, other people's experiences. If somebody went through something for 5 years and they wrote a book and you could read the book in 5 days, wouldn't that be an advantage? Well, yes, if you read the book. Now, this isn't easy stuff, right? This is not casual stuff. This is the extraordinary kind of learning and skills that's necessary, I think, to gain the high life treasures. But I think it's worth it all. Small price to pay for treasure. The extra reading, the extra commitment to the excellence of learning. Life is worthwhile if you learn. Number 2, life is worthwhile if you try. You got to try something with what you know. Can you win the next game that's set up? I don't know. How are we going to know? You got to try. How else are we going to know whether you can be a winner in the next game? I don't know. Just make a commitment to try. When the final book on you is written, let it show your wins and let it show your losses, but don't let it show you didn't play. How would you explain that? So you got to play, you got to try. See what you can do with your life. See what you can do with the next game. The key to life is to give it a try. I put the bar up 3 feet, ask the kids, who can jump 3 feet? I get a whole variety of response. I don't think so. I'm not sure. I don't know. Yes, I can. Say, well, how are we going to know? You got to take a run at it. I don't know any other way. You've just got to take a run at it. Who knows if you can jump 3 feet till you try? Now, if you try and knock the bar down, does that mean you can't jump 3 feet? No. Let me give you the next clue. Try it again. Try it over. Try it another time. Try it another way. Try it with more speed. There's all kinds of ways to try. Number 3. Life is worthwhile if you stay. You got to learn to hang in there. You've got to learn to stay from spring till fall. Many people plant in the spring and leave in the summer. They're gone. First hot day. I thought, sure, John, it'd last a month. Where is he? I don't know. Somebody said, boo, and he quit. Where is he? I don't know. But see, to win, you got to learn to stay. Just because you're behind in the first quarter, you can't leave. You got to learn to stay and hang in there. Guy builds a foundation. And then he walks off, wanders away, and builds another foundation. He never stays and puts up the walls and puts on the roof. You got to learn to stay, hang in there. The last one. Life is worthwhile if you care. Caring is an important human value. And I wrote, if you care at all, you'll get some results. If you care enough, you'll get incredible results. Caring. To care for the day and to use its time. To care for the people and to help them with their possibilities. To care for the enterprise, its dignity and its reputation. And to care for yourself. To become all you can become. Stretch as far as you can stretch. Accomplish as much as you can accomplish. Become all that you can become. Caring. Having something good to say. The 4 ifs that make life worthwhile. First step to good communications, preparation, research, getting ready, making deposits in your mental, spiritual, moral bank account upon which to draw.
phrases, sentences, paragraphs. It's very important now to be able to translate it. Learning to say it well. Now, this is a whole subject in itself. This is worth a weekend of study. Let me just give you a short list of suggestions on learning to say it well. Number one, repetition. It just takes practice. I don't know any substitute for the practice. To learn any skill, you've just got to go through it again and again and again. My first attempt at lecturing, especially outside my own comfortable business circles, was pretty tough. Learning to say it well was a struggle for me. But I kept at it and kept at it, and now I've gotten better. I do one seminar called Challenge to Succeed. It's about 4 hours long, and I can do it without any notes. Every once in a while a person comes and says, you lectured this evening for 4 hours without any notes. How can you do that? I said, it's very simple. I've done it a few thousand times. We call that simplicity. You just do it over and over and often. I've got a good question. How long do you want it to take to get good at what you do? You say not very long. Then you've got to do it often. Do it often. Repetition starts the skill. Now, it also must be repetition with the objectivity of getting better. Because sometimes it's easy to be casual just about repetition and not get much better. How about the man who's been talking for 10 years, but he's making the same verbal errors he made 10 years ago? Or 10 years ago he said, I don't quite know how to put this. 10 years later he's saying, I don't quite know how to put this. We say, hey, 10 years is too long not to know how to put it. We can give you 10 hours not to know how to put it. You can stretch our patience and take 10 days not to know how to put it, but we can't give you 10 years. 10 years is too long not to make enough progress in better language skills. So, repetition with purpose. The purpose is to grow and to change, to develop, to expand, to make progress. Here's some other parts to saying it well. Sincerity. From the heart. With noble intent. Wishing to bring value. That adds immeasurably to your ability to speak well, communicate well. Sincerity. There's no substitute for sincerity. I can forgive you for a mistake in judgment, but I can't forgive you for a mistake in intent. Next key part to saying it well, brevity. Part of the key is to be brief. You can't linger too long, I've discovered in my lecturing and speaking around the world. You can't linger too long on any one point. Brevity. I used to tell stories too long. I get involved in a long story on and on. By the time I hit the punchline, people forgot how it started. Now it doesn't make sense. Too long. Here's why brevity is important. The human attention span is short. You haven't got long to get it said before you lose your audience. Now, the best practice I know of here is practice on the kids, because their attention span is really short. Right? Underline really. You talk to kids for 30 seconds, they say, how long is this going to take? Right? I mean, they're already bent out of shape, right? Looks like you're going to take forever to get to the point, get it said. Brevity. Jesus, master communicator, was probably the best. In selecting his team, he would look at somebody and say, follow me. That's brief. That's, right? That's short. Now, how could you be so brief and yet be so effective? I think probably because of all that he was that he didn't have to say. Sometimes we try to make up in words what we lack in self-confidence. So part of the key to being brief is personal development, personal growth, personal awareness, understanding self-worth. Now you can use the economy of words. And this is a good position to be in, that what you are adds so much weight to what you say that you don't have to say very much. But brevity is a good point on saying it well. Next is style. And there's all kinds of parts to style, from body language and gestures to facial expressions and eyes and emotion. But style is very important. Here's part of the clue. It's not just the matter you cover, it's the manner in which you cover the matter. Style is important to attract someone's attention, to emphasize the point. Now, I've got a couple of good points here on style. Be a student of style, but don't just copy someone's style. Make sure that the study of style becomes distinctly you. But it is also important to be a student of style. How people speak well, be a student of that. And then borrowing bits and pieces from people you admire and the way they can communicate. Then make sure that all of that blended into you becomes your own distinctive style. But style is very important. Now there's a variety of styles. Ancient story tells us of John the Baptist had a unique style. He came out of the desert dressed in camel's hair, and his diet was grasshoppers and wild honey. And he screamed and yelled and thundered curses on the king and other people. That was his style. They came to see John, I'm sure, right? I'm sure the word was out. You got to come and see this guy. Not just what he said, but his style, I'm sure, was something to watch. So John had a unique style. Jesus, I'm sure, had probably a whole different style. But style is important, to become uniquely John or to become uniquely you. But it's important to study your own style and say, how am I coming across in style? Should I learn to emphasize more? Should I learn to be more emphatic? All these things concerning style. Next is vocabulary. Saying it well is proper choice of words. To build my early vocabulary, I used to put 3 or 4 words I didn't know on a card, put it up on the sun visor on my car. Back in those days, I traveled a lot by car. Sure enough, by the end of the day, I'd mastered 2 or 3 words. Vocabulary. Some of my friends took a survey among prisoners in New England several years ago. They made a very important discovery, some rehabilitation program they were working on. But here's the discovery they made. There's definitely a relationship between vocabulary and behavior. The more limited the vocabulary, the more tendency to poor behavior. Isn't that amazing? That vocabulary would affect behavior? Now, if you think about it for a while, it makes sense. Here's why. Vocabulary is a way of seeing. One reason for vocabulary is to interpret what we see, to interpret what we hear. The vocabulary of the mind grapples with the words and the images that come to our mind. Now, if you've got a poor set of words and skills and tools with which to interpret, you can imagine the errors and the mistakes you'll make in judgment. And since vocabulary is a way of seeing, if you can't see well, you can imagine the errors you can make and how they compound as life unfolds. We do 2 things with vocabulary. We interpret and we express. The words we have are the only words available to us. The words we know are the only tools available to us to, number one, interpret what's going on, to interpret what's being said, and to express your heart and your mind. Now, if you can't interpret well, and if you can't express well, you can imagine what a deterrent that is to the good life. And the extra treasures, the extra feelings, awareness, riches, power, influence. So it's very important to have a good vocabulary. So I would ask you, one of the most important books in your library should be the dictionary. Just go through the dictionary. The words are fascinating, their origin and where they came from. Vocabulary. Now here's the last part on saying it well. Don't forget to say it. Practice the art every chance you get. And try to say it well. It's easy to be lazy in language all day and not practice the gift and the art. Then when it comes time to make an important talk, to appeal to a child, we're missing the words and missing the sharpness and missing the vocabulary simply because we lack the practice of doing it every day. If you want to get good at communication, you have to be aware of doing it every day as a practice session of getting better, so that when the real important occasions arise, you will have the gift and you'll have the style, you'll have the sharpness and the clarity and the substance and the emotion. I have a key phrase for you. Actions are no substitute for words. Don't fail to say it. Now, we've heard the old expression, words are no substitute for action. That's true. Talk, 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 never act. That's not good. But this also isn't good. Act, 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 and never talk. We must be gifted with words if we want the full treasure of life. So practice every occasion you get. It's okay to send somebody flowers, but don't let flowers do all your talking. Here's why. Flowers have a limited vocabulary. About the best flowers can say is, you remembered. That's about the best. Or, you care. That's about all. Flowers don't say, you do incredible things to me. Nobody in this world affects me like you do. Now, see, flowers talk, but they don't say that. That you got to add in the card. Right? That you got to add in person. So the next time you give flowers, say, just so my flowers won't do all the talking, let me add, and then put the gift of words to work to go along with the activity. And you will start to sense this whole growing excitement about using language to affect somebody, to translate feelings of heart and mind. And the response you're going to get and the results you're going to get starts growing in measurable quantities. I'm just asking you to take the extra time to engage in these arts and practices. The gift of language, communications, affecting people with words. So we've covered step 1, have something good to say. Step 2, say it well. Here's step 3 to good communications. Read your audience. It's very important to read and to pick up the signals of what's happening with your audience. Now, when I first started lecturing outside my business circles, I had some problems here. Reading my audience. I think my early audiences, they all could have left halfway through and I'd have never known it. I was so intent on what I was saying that I was a bit unconscious of what was going on out there. Then I finally learned to look up, to watch and see what's happening. We call this reading what's happening. My largest audience has been 10,000. I wasn't the only speaker. Art Linkletter, Paul Harvey, Dr. Peel, Zig Ziglar, myself. We each had an hour. But we had 10,000 people. But now that was the first time I'd ever talked to 10,000 people. Awesome event for me. You know, Paul Harvey, he didn't have any problems. Art Linkletter, he didn't have any problems. But I had some problems. That first 4 or 5 minutes, right? 10,000 is a lot of people. And you got to read fast. Right? Because 10,000 people can turn on you quick. But learning to read, what's going on back there? What's happening? Now, it's also just as important to read a person, to read a child. If you want to be effective, you got to get the feedback. You've got to pick up the signals to know whether to be stronger or whether to ease off, whether to change stories, change words, change language. All of this comes by a good ability to read your audience. So let me give you some clues on reading. Number 1 is simply to listen. Part of reading is listening. You pick up a lot of clues as to what else to say, what all to say by being a good listener. From early times, I think we've learned to be a good speaker, you got to be a good listener. That's where you pick up the information, is to listen well, especially in a private conversation, a more informal conversation. Good listening habits. That's part of reading. Number 2, you got to read what you see. There's a good book called How to Read a Person Like a Book. It's a pretty good book by Nirenberg. And it's a study of body language. Now, you can't get too deeply involved in this, or you'll be so intent on reading body language that you may miss the point. But we can all, I think, use some help here. And now, some things are very obvious. You're talking to somebody and they've got their arms folded and their chin tucked down and they're frowning. That probably means, right, you got your work cut out for you. You got to reach deep into your bag of experiences and language, because this one isn't going to be easy. So some body language is fairly obvious. If you're talking to somebody and they're leaning toward the door, that probably means something, right? It means you're going to have to get with it. You're not going to have an audience long. So part of it is just being conscious, right? Body language, reading what you see. Now, kids are pretty easy to read because they don't even try to fake you out, right? You talk to kids and they're staring out the window. I mean, they don't mind showing their total unconcern. But now here's what's more challenging. In a polite society, sometimes body language can be deceiving. If somebody while you're talking looks at you and smiles, you got to make sure you don't misread that. Here's what we teach in leadership skills. Don't mistake courtesy for consent. In a polite society, we learn sometimes to be courteous, but that doesn't mean we buy the story. With somebody being polite, smiling and nodding, you got to make sure you don't misread that and stop short of the full persuasion. Don't mistake kindness for acceptance. In a polite society, we've learned to be kind, but that doesn't mean we've accepted. So part of this is a little more subtle in reading in a polite society, whether or not somebody is buying your argument, if they're being persuaded by your presentation. So body language, picking up those signals. Now here's the one that's probably the most effective, but it's probably the most elusive. Reading the emotional signals. This is an area probably where the women have it over the men. Picking up the emotional signals. I think men can learn these skills, but I think women have a lot of this automatically. Men can learn it, but it's something we all have to learn. Emotional signals, picking up the signals of whether to change your language, be sharper or to be softer, to go after a problem or to ease back and give it time to soak. Part of this is just picking up the feelings, picking up the emotions, being sensitive to the situation. This is not easy stuff. This is extra learning stuff, extra skills. But this is called summit learning, for those extra measures of rewards that come from communicating by learning these extra skills. So third, very important to read your audience. How are you coming across? What is the effect? From a child to an auditorium full of people. Reading. Here's the fourth step to good communication. Number one, have something good to say. Number two, say it well. Number three, read your audience. Number four, intensity. Here now starts the power of what we say. Part of the strength of what we say is the words we choose. The greater part of the strength of what we say is the emotions that are loaded into the words. Here's what has power unmatched, words loaded with emotion. There is no greater power. Words have an effect, but words loaded with emotion have an incredible effect. My words may reach you, but if I can't touch you with my spirit, if I can't touch you with my emotions, my feelings, my beliefs, then I probably haven't affected you very much. We might describe words like a little straight pin, right? Guy buys a shirt, it's got all these little pins in it, right? If I took one of those little straight pins and I threw it at you, and it hit you in the face or the hand, you'd probably feel it, this little straight pin. That means I got you with my words. But what if I took that little straight pin and wired it to the end of an iron bar? And I let you have it with that. See, I can drive the pin through your heart. Now, the reason I can do that is because the pin is the words, but the iron bar is the emotions, the feelings, the belief, the commitment. All that I am, if I can put more of what I am into what I say, no telling what miracle I can wrought. No telling how much of an effect I can be. Real persuasion comes from putting you into what you say. But now here's part of the clue, and we call these extra refinement of leadership skills. Learning to measure your emotions. That's very important to learn to measure your emotions. We teach, don't shoot a cannon at a rabbit. It's effective, but you got no more rabbit. It's called too much firepower for the occasion. You don't need an atomic explosion for a minor point. Enough, but not too much. We call this understanding how to measure the flow of your emotions to cover a point. Okay, but if it needs heavyweight stuff, you reach and get it. If it needs a milder approach, you learn how to measure it in milder, easier terms. But it's very important to measure your emotions, your feelings. Now, what do we mean by intensity and emotions? Here it is. All of your experiences and how they've affected you. That's the sum total of your emotional content. Where you've been and what you've heard and what you've seen and who you've met and this whole panorama of life experiences for you up until now and how you felt about all that. That we call the sum total of your emotions. Now, the key is to learn how to measure all that and put it in effective amounts into the words you choose. So here's the key to effective communications. Well-chosen words loaded with well-measured emotions. In the gift of a performance of an actor or an actress, the splendid performance comes from knowing with skill how to use language and how to use emotions. When the time calls for it, emotions kept close to the surface, put into well-chosen words, can make the most dramatic effect on somebody's mind and somebody's heart. You can't believe the extent of your reach if you will engage in some of these communication skills. Here's the clue to really affecting people. Start with where they are before you try to take them to where you want them to go. Meet people where they are. If somebody's hurting, you got to meet in the hurt. If somebody's in trouble, you got to start with the trouble. Here's some more pieces to the communication challenge. Number one, identification. Learning to identify. This is a real challenge. Now, it's not too difficult if somebody's like you. The real challenge is to identify with somebody who's not like you. In a wider range of teaching all of this, here's the reaction you want from identification. Me too. You just want the reaction for somebody to say, me too. I understand what that's like. I've been there. So part of it is trying to translate your experiences into words so that someone will identify with it and say, me too. Here's the reaction you don't want. So what? Now, it's easy if you're not careful to load your presentation with a lot of so whats. Mr. Schoaf, who only went to the 8th grade in school, but he gave me the classic point to ponder here when I was 25 years old. And it was put in such simple terms, I've never forgotten it. Let me put it in those same terms for you. Here's what he said. Learn to express, not impress. That was so helpful for me. Because it's easy to engage in language just designed to impress instead of express. But Schoaf said if you want to touch somebody, learn to express. Sincerity from the heart, not impress. Impress builds a gulf. Express builds a bridge. Identification. This is a whole wide subject in itself. The identification question is, what will make me real to my audience? What will make me real to the child? Identification is building a bridge. If you're meeting somebody for the first time, it's simply getting acquainted. Building a bridge, making contact. Here's one of the clues. Find something you have in common. That's where you start, something you have in common. At our ranch up at Clear Lake, when we have seminars, everybody gets acquainted real easy. And one of the reasons is because almost everybody gets lost trying to find it. Right? What a great way, right? Did you get as lost as I did trying to find this place? Right? Somebody says, yeah, was that you up there taking the wrong turn? I thought that was you. What a great way to get acquainted. We've just had an experience recently that's been similar, like getting lost. So identification is finding something in common. Here's the clue to really affecting people. Start with where they are before you try to take them to where you want them to go. Meet people where they are. If somebody's hurting, you got to meet in the hurt. If somebody's in trouble, you got to start with the trouble. One of the greatest communicators of all time, Paul, apostle of early Christian history, didn't have any problem talking to sinners because he claimed to be chief sinner. Wow, what an identification point. Do you think sinners would listen to chief sinner? Of course. He said, tell me about being a sinner. I'm number one sinner. Got the plaque on the wall. What a way to begin, right, if he's talking to sinners. The key is to start where somebody is. If they're in trouble, you got to start with trouble. You can't talk success if somebody's in trouble. You got to start, first of all, talking trouble. Now, if you've never been in trouble, you got a problem. So, I suggest here that you get in a little trouble. So you know how to talk trouble. Right? Get arrested for something. So that when somebody is stricken in the heart, and you've had this experience, maybe not as deeply, but somewhat of an experience of being stricken in the heart. When you meet somebody and you're trying to help them, you can talk about being stricken in the heart, and it'll have substance, it'll have meaning, it'll have depth. And you start there, and then start building the bridge and start building the path towards solving the problem. Identification. How do you identify with a child? It's tough. What if the adult is 40 and the child is 12? We call that a long bridge. How do you bridge the gap between 40 and 12? It isn't easy. In fact, we used to call it the generation gap. And how do you manage the skills that builds the bridge over the generation gap? Well, there's some answers here. Here's number one. Remember when you were 12. You've just got to have the skill to go back. This is what an actor does. They go back. They rehearse the early hurts and emotions, the trauma and the drama of the sum total of their life back in the early years. You just got to go back through all that and let it affect you one more time. Let it wash over you one more time. Let it rekindle one more time. You say, well, it may be painful. That's true, but you got to go back through these pains in order to reach some people that are in pain. So part of it is to remember when you were 12. I don't have much problem with 12-year-olds because I remember almost every day of being 12. 12 is a fascinating year. One of the challenges of being 12 is you're not 13. If I heard it once, I heard it 100 times when I was 12. You're only 12. As if that was some awful place to be. Right? The teenagers would say, of course you can't go. You're only 12. I thought, wow. I can't wait to be rid of 12 and become a teenager. So, pretty frustrating. You just got to go back and remember that. If you want to reach somebody 12, you just got to remember 12. Did you ever get chosen last when you were a kid? That's an awesome experience. They're choosing up sides. I'll take you, I'll take you, I'll take you. And then you're last and you're standing there. And the next leader says, well, I guess I'll have to take you. Right? Wow, what an awesome experience. But you just got to go back and relive that. Let it smite you one more time. Let it hit you and let it hurt you. Because, see, to really affect people, you got to be moved. And you've got to be touched. And without moving and touching of life experiences, whatever emotion it calls for, there are some people you can't reach. Here's another key way to reach the kids. Read all their books. Here's what it's called. Do your homework. Lack of homework shows in the marketplace. Lack of homework shows at home. See, if a child has read this book, and I read the book, one of the great places we can meet is in the book. I say to the child, remember the story where right away they're going to be impressed that I've done my homework. And the kid says, did you read that book? I said, yes, I read all those books. They say, wow. But I say, remember the story where? They say, I remember that story. I say, well, that's about like now. Not exactly, but it's pretty close. And the child says, oh, I see, I see. Now they can see because we went back to the common seeing that was in the book. But if you miss the book and don't do your homework, I'm telling you, you'll miss a chance to identify. Here's the big challenge, identifying with somebody who's not like you in color or religion or circumstance. How do the successful reach and touch somebody who isn't successful? Well, first of all, they've got to talk about their struggle, not their success. Let me give you the clue to good identification. Your struggle will more often identify than your success. If you've got an hour to talk and you spend 59 minutes on your success story, we call that building a gulf, not a bridge. You've got to spend most of the time on your struggle, most of the time on your fears, most of the time on your apprehensions, most of the time you hesitated, most of the time you were about to give it up. You've got to spend some time on that. That's called identification and building a bridge. Then take them by the hand and then show them your success when it has meaning because it came from struggle, it came from decision, and it came maybe from heartbreak, and it came maybe from the same position the person finds themselves in that you're talking to. Identification. What makes you real? That's so important. Part of identification is proper word choice. Jesus said to his disciples one day, today I'm going to teach you how to fish. What an important choice of words, fish. Who is he talking to? Fishermen. We call that brilliant. He didn't say, I'm going to teach you how to recruit. No, what do they know from recruit? These fishermen don't know recruit. And if you keep insisting on saying recruit to fishermen, we call you naive. You got to change your vocabulary. He said, I now wish to teach you how to become fishermen. Now, see, they understood that language. He said, winning people is a lot like fishing. Now, see, they understood that story. If it's like fishing, we can figure it out. Here's the next clue to identification. Beware of using inside lingo on the outside world. Sometimes inside, some little catchy phrases become comfortable, but outside, they become strange. The man said to me, we've got to get into the Word. We've got to spend more time in the Word. I thought, how small would you have to be? Now, what I found out later he meant was, we should read the Bible more. Now, see, that would have made sense to me. Right? But the into the Word, we call that kind of strangey language. And you've got to be careful of strangey language on what we call the outside world. You got to learn to shift gears. The lady said to me, I've learned how to handle my space. She said, how are you doing with your space? I thought, space? What's a space? Now, I found out later she'd been to the space seminars. And she'd learned the kind of spacey language, space. But see, you got to be careful. You talk space to a lot of people, and they go back like this. Say, space. What's this space? Right? Now, the people that have been through the space seminars can understand the spacey language. But if somebody hasn't, you got to learn to what we call shift gears into an appropriate word choice depending on your audience. It's called the gift of language in a variety of awareness to learn how to choose the right words and the right phrases depending on who you're talking to. We call this awareness. We call this being non-lazy. We call this being sharp in perception to know who you're talking to and how to choose the words that'll make sense. Identification. You've got to identify with the sorrow by recalling your own sorrow. Identify with the joy by recalling your own joy. Identify with the difficulty by rehearsing your own difficulty. Here's one of the best clues in learning to better identify. Go back over your own life and make a study of your own life, your circumstances, your feelings, your awareness. Some of the stories you haven't told for a long time. Some of the experiences you've had. Now, sometimes when you've freshly come from an experience, it isn't that easy to translate it and it isn't that easy to talk about it. But as the time passes and you can take a more thoughtful approach to your experiences, the key is not to lose the intensity of it, but to become more educated in using the intensity of your experiences to weave into the next conversation. And by the gift of language and emotion, touch somebody's life, reach somebody, affect somebody, persuade somebody. Identification. Very important subject. Here's the next part of a good presentation. It's what we call logic and reason. If you're trying to persuade a child, talk to a child, or talk to an audience, or if you're trying to talk to a customer, part of any presentation is the logical part, the facts and the figures, and the numbers and the dimensions. And we won't linger too long here because here's my point on logic and reason. It's got to be brief. We need some facts, but only enough facts to start the decision-making process. You got to beware not to cover too many facts. I'm sure we've all heard the expression, it's possible to talk somebody into buying, keep on talking, talk them out of buying. Here's where this problem usually occurs. Even if it's a child, you can talk a child into deciding, and then you keep on talking, and then they undecide. We talk past, too much logic, too much reason. We need just enough logic and reason so that it starts to make sense, not so that you understand it all. If you walk into the new car showroom and express an interest in an automobile, salesman comes along and says, let me tell you about this car. You say, okay. He says, follow me. And he takes you out back into the shop. And he opens up the shop manual on the car and says, let's start with the left front wheel. Right away, you would say, hold it. He says, this is going to take a long time. We've got 1,000 facts here to go through. You'd say, hold it. You don't need 1,000 facts to decide about this automobile. How many facts do you need? About a half dozen. And if somebody makes the mistake of going beyond a half dozen, here's what they're going to do. Lose their audience. So you got to make sure you don't get into too wide range of facts and logic. Because here's why. Most decisions are made emotionally. We need just enough logic so that it makes sense, but we're going to do it probably out of emotion. So the key is to be brief. With logic, reasons, facts. Because too much of anything is too much, right, at one time. What if you sat down to a steak dinner and you were real hungry, so you cleaned it all up? What if they cleared that away and brought you another one? Well, let's say you're real hungry, so you go for the second one. What if they cleared that away and brought you the third one? See, that third one doesn't look good. In fact, if you start on it, you'll probably lose the whole thing, right? I mean, too much is too much. So, brevity on logic and reason. It needs to be powerful, it needs to be factual, but brief.
Sir Isaac Newton is generally considered to be the greatest scientist who ever lived. In his later years, he was asked how it was that he, one man, had managed to make such significant contributions to the world of science. He replied, "By thinking of nothing else." In its simplest terms, success begins with you exercising your power of choice and using it to take systematic, purposeful control over the thoughts you hold in your conscious mind. Most people spend their lives in a form of sleep. They go busily about their daily activities, almost totally preoccupied by a continuous stream of disorganized thought. You've experienced this phenomenon when you've gotten into your car and driven to work or across town, lost in thought, with almost no memory of the trip at all. Many of your habitual routines and conversations take place with a low level of awareness, almost as if you were in a mental fog, and with your having little or no recollection of the particular flow of events. Sometimes this preoccupation is deliberate. You use it to avoid thinking about parts of your life that you'd rather not confront or deal with. Sometimes it is simply automatic. You've been going through the motions for so long that your thought processes are unthinking. You only wake up temporarily when you are shocked or surprised, as when you're cut off in traffic or scared or caught off guard. But as soon as you recover your composure, you slip back into the warm, gentle stream of waking sleep, where your thoughts just flow past amid a continual collage of feelings and images. Now, to become all you can be, you must live more consciously. You must become more alert, more aware, and more awake. You must take more control over your thought processes so that you move in the direction of your own choosing rather than steering blindly on mental autopilot, as most people do. You begin the process of awakening by reflecting on your life, past, present, and future. As an exercise in awareness, imagine that you are here on this earth to do something wonderful with your life, to become an exceptional person and to make an important contribution to your world. Imagine that this is all part of a great master plan that has been carefully designed with your best interest in mind, and that every event and circumstance of your life is an indispensable part of a big jigsaw puzzle, the outline of which you can only begin to see when you stand back and start to look at your life from a higher plane or a greater distance. Assume that whatever your current situation or difficulty, it is exactly what you require right now to teach you something that you need to know before you can continue on your upward journey. With this perspective, you can see that every experience is a positive experience if you choose to view it as an opportunity for growth and self-mastery. Now, project backward and with calmness, clarity, and a positive mental attitude, think about how every previous experience and situation of your life might have been sent to you at exactly the right time to teach you something you needed to learn so that you could continue moving toward the wonderful life that awaits you. Imagine that the events of your life could not have been otherwise than they were, especially if you were operating on autopilot most of the time. As you stand back and appreciate the incredibly complex interconnectedness of events that have brought you to where you are in life right now, you will begin to develop the perspective of the philosopher. You will begin to superimpose on your experience what is called a sense of coherence, an attitude and a feeling that your life is part of something greater than yourself and that everything fits together and happens for a reason.
Just a few little pointers on the mind. Here's number one. It needs to be nourished. Needs to be fed. There's an Old Testament phrase that says humans cannot live just on bread alone or food alone. Dogs can, a crocodile can, a spider can. Humans cannot exist just on food. Here's what it says. Humans also need words. Words nourish the mind. Words give life. Words create insight. Because there's more than one way to see. If we see with our eyes, we call that sight. But there's another way to see called insight. That's why we come, gather for a couple of days, attend the classes, go to the training, read the books, do all the stuff, is to develop more insight. Letting our mind be nourished to think, ponder, and wonder, and conceive ideas, projects, purpose, give structure to something for the future, whether it's better health or better career, better future. Next, the mind needs to be exercised. And we talked a bit about that earlier. Exercised by debate. Exercised by reading both sides of the debate, both sides of the question. Major life issues, major political issues. Don't leave yourself out of the great debate. One, the mind needs to be nourished by ideas. Second, it needs to be refined and stimulated and exercised by debate. We need both sides of the human drama represented. The reason why the Bible is such a classic book in studying all kinds of stories is because the Bible is full of stories on both sides, the evil side and the good side. The Bible said, Old Testament said, this king came to power and he was a good king. And he ruled for 18 years. And then it says the next king came to power and he was a bad king and he put up idols. He became the bad king. So it reads good king, bad king, showing both sides of the human spectrum and drama. Some stories that we read in the Bible of people to admire, others are people to despise. In your library, you need a book on Gandhi and you need a book on Hitler. One book to show you how noble someone's aspirations can be, and the other book to show you how despicable and how evil someone's goals can be. Both sides we study good and evil, one we love and one we hate. We study illness, we study health. Someone says, well, you can't study the negative things. You have to study the negative things. You have to give voice to and mind to and time to both sides of the issue so that you can strengthen your side of the argument. In raising our kids, we have to pose both sides. What's the dangerous side and the safe side? In one of the seminars that I'm sure some of you have attended, I talk about philosophy that makes the difference. Philosophy does two things, each person's personal philosophy. So jot this down. Our personal philosophy does two things. One, helps us to see the dangers on one side so we can avoid or minimize those. Then our personal philosophy needs to be developed so we can see the opportunities on the other side so we can maximize those. And for the balance of your life, that's going to be the twin challenge in developing ideas and philosophy and strengthening all of it so that you can avoid the dangers, maximize the opportunities. Because the dangers never go away. The dangers to our ship of state called the country. The danger to the enterprise. The danger to the corporation. Dangers always lurk, both inside and out. Dangers lurk on the inside of our own mind. When I was a kid, they used to have those little cartoons of a little boy with a gremlin on one side and a little angel on the other side. And the little devil, the little gremlin said, go ahead and do it, it's okay. Little angel said, no, no, no. So when kids are young, they've got this debate to engage in. Should I or shouldn't I? One voice says, go ahead, and the other one says, no, no. So we hope as the years pass and as the classes pass, and as we go from grade 1 to grade 2 to grade 5 to grade 10, we will learn more, as Abraham said, to listen to the better angels of our nature, to appeal to our conscience, and let our conscience help, along with God and whatever else you belong in that has good influence on helping to make right decisions, avoiding the evil one, avoiding the danger, the dark side, and appeal to ourselves to engage in the positive side, the opportunity side. The battle of the mind is significant for us every day, what to think, what not to think. My mentor, Mr. Shove, said, stand guard at the door of your mind. And you decide what enters. You decide what to fill up your mind with, because it becomes the material with which you build your future. So, engaging the mind to make rational decisions about life. Beware of the thief on the street that's after your purse, but also beware of the thief in your mind that's after your promise. The thief in your mind that says you're too short, you're too tall, you've never done it before. What makes you think you can do it now? It's not going to work for you. Someone else could find the book, you'll never find the book. If you found the book, you wouldn't read it. If you did read it, you wouldn't understand it. That's stuff that goes on in our mind. So jot down this key phrase. It's one of the best for the day. Whatever you do, don't become a victim of yourself. As you engage in this debate, what to eat, what not to eat, where to go, where not to go, what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do, make sure that you strengthen the positive side of this argument with yourself, so that day by day you become healthier, day by day you become stronger, day by day you become wiser. Day by day you build a better shield and immunity. An inside immunity to ward off disease, but an outside immunity to ward off all the negative and all the trash and all the stuff that would not enhance your personal development nor your promise for the future. So this is so important in understanding the mind. Feed it. We call it food for thought. That's what a big share of this whole seminar is all about these 3 days, is providing food to think about, thoughts to think about, and then ideas to debate. And it's not necessarily what's right or what's wrong, but what's better, what's best. This is okay, but this would be better. With this, yes, you can manage, but with this, you can flourish. With this, you can exist. With this, you can live a fantastic life. So, exercising the mind. Now, to develop the mind, you need a good library. Let me give you 3 parts to your library. Number 1 is your visual library. Zig and I and others have put things on video so you can see it. We ask you to come here today and see what's going on. So part of it comes by visual. Come and see. And then if it's on video, you can see it again and again and again. Key phrase, repetition is the mother of learning. Repetition is where if we hear it again, we see something we didn't see when we heard it the first time. We see something different that we didn't see the first time. Next is your listening library. Zig Ziglar's right. Turn your car into a mobile classroom. You can have a university education in a fairly short period of time just using the traveling time to listen. Key phrase is to listen to voices of value. Discriminate in your listening time. Listening to someone of reputation, someone who has good ideas, someone that's been recommended that has some value. Don't waste your time listening to things that don't count much. Hey, there's some things that are not worth spending the time. You know, they create more poison than they do benefit. So be careful. If somebody says to me, these eggs are rotten, I'm not going to make an omelet and try it. I'm going to take their word for it. So feed the mind, exercise the mind, and build your library. I recommend 3 books that were recommended to me when I started my library when I was 25 years old, in those accelerated days of personal development for me, about 7 years worth. So fantastically changed my bank account, changed my income, revolutionized my future. With the foundation my parents gave me Meeting Mr. Schoaf at age 25, I'm telling you, it's been a journey for me like no other ever since. Then I've had mentors along the way. I'm telling you, that keep my mind stimulated, that keep my interest keen, that help me to evaluate and to weigh what is good, what is okay, what is better, and what is prosperous in terms of your life. Mentors. And that first mentor I had recommended these 3 books. First was the Bible. Now, I had an advantage there because my parents made sure I was a pretty good scholar by age 19. A good book to serve you all of your life. One of the major sources of ideas, stories, poetry, history. A major source for stimulation. Next, he recommended the book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Think and grow. Good words, think and grow and rich. I went for it. Got the book. Paid less than 50 cents for it. Some of the ideas in it changed my life. Next, Schoaf recommended the book, The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clayson. Helped me become a millionaire by age 32. Totally changed my economic future. Just the ideas in a simple little book. Amazing. Then he recommended something for me to listen to by Earl Nightingale called The Greatest Secret. That was my listening library to begin with. The Greatest Secret by Earl Nightingale. So your listening library and your visual library. Next now is your reading library. And we won't go through a whole list of the best books, but here's a good book to get if you want a good list of the best books. It's called How to Read a Book. Simple. How to Read a Book by Adler. Chief editor of the Encyclopedia Britannica, Mortimer Adler. He wrote a book called 6 Great Ideas. That's excellent. He wondered, are ideas tangible? Are ideas real? Or are they nothing? But he wrote this book, along with another author, How to Read a Book. Now, if you master this book, you can get so much more from a book. Now, it's a kind of a tough book to get through, but it'll give you some ideas on how to take a book and get the most out of it. Take a book and get the most out of it. But in this book is also a list of what he calls are the greatest books ever written. And I've used that book, that list, as a centerpiece for my library. It's got the classics, which I missed. I only went to 1 year of college, so I missed a whole bunch of stuff. I started making up for that by collecting these best books ever written. Interestingly enough, on that list is Old and New Testament. On every scholar's list, East or West. You just can't miss those as major sources. In addition to that, there's a book called Lessons of History, written by Durant. And I offer it because it's one of the classic writings of all time. You may not agree with his premise, but you certainly have to agree that it's one of the best well-written books ever. He and his wife wrote about 11 volumes on civilization. Take a speed reading course, you can get through those. But this little book, Lessons of History, is sort of a summary of their ideas on history. It's a classic. Then a classic I think most everybody's got is called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, where each sentence is a seminar. And you may not agree with his premise either in certain instances. You don't want to read just what you agree with. And not just to read the positive. Make this note. You cannot live on mental candy. Just like you can't feed your children ice cream all the time and hope that they will be healthy. So you cannot live on mental candy. Someone says, well, I just read the positive stuff. That's not enough. And the reason is because you need to know both sides of the issue. So start your library like I did, age 25. I mentioned in another seminar, haven't read everything in my library, but I feel smarter just walking in it, right? And smart enough to buy it. Now I got to be smart enough to read it all. Then I got to be smart enough to sort through and decide what's valuable. So make that the next part now. In part of personal development for the mind, you've got to sort through what you read, what you see, and what you hear, and decide which of all of that is valuable for you to try and do and master. This is where being a student comes in. Not a follower, but a student. You read one book on good health, and it says, do what this book says, you'll live forever. You read the next book on health and nutrition, and it says, if you do what that first book says, you'll die young. So someone says to me, Mr. Rohn, which of these books should I follow? Jot this down. Neither one. Don't be a follower. Read both books and make up your own mind. Here's what's important in the final analysis. One of the best phrases for the day, I got this from my Canadian friend Harold Dyke, who gave it to me, and I've used it all these years. Here's what he said. Make sure what you finally do is the product of your own conclusion. Make sure what you finally do is the product of your own conclusion. Meaning you don't just follow, but you listen to both sides of the argument. You listen to the controversy. You try to master the points on both sides or three sides or whatever. Then you start charting your own course. It doesn't say you'll make always the right decision on what course to take or what to do. You can refine as you go. But make sure that what you do is the product of your own conclusions. Conclusions from the debate. Conclusion from what makes the best sense to you to try. Now, jot this down. Also give yourself a chance to change. Some things I held on to that I thought this was it. I'm telling you, after a while I gave it up, found out it wasn't it. So give yourself a chance to change. Refine your philosophy. Refine your direction. If you'll give yourself a chance to do that, here's what will happen down the road a ways. A new door will open that you haven't discovered before. Give yourself a chance to change. Reevaluate. So let your library be a testimonial of your dedicated interest in accelerated personal development, that you will read whatever you have to read. You will hear whatever you must hear, and you will watch and see whatever you must see in order to make your life refined and worthwhile and achieve all of your purposes. It takes a lot of effort to learn. It takes a lot of effort to grow. It takes a lot of effort to decide and debate. But jot this down. It's all worth the price. Whatever stimulates you to think, whatever stimulates you to wonder, whatever stimulates you to react or even to debate, even if you hear something you say, well, that's not right. See, that's still valuable. It means you're awake. It means you're alert. It means you're alive. It means your mind is ready to take on something, whether it's agreeable or not agreeable. Something right, something wrong. Who cares what it is? We've got to listen to a variety of voices. And some are going to come from the left and some are going to come from the right. And some are going to come from mysterious sources. And some will try to entice you with all kinds of stuff. But that's okay, just so you're alive and alert and awake, ready to process anything that comes your way. Take the best of it and make it beneficial for you, so that tomorrow you walk with a stronger step. Next month you see a clearer vision. And a month from now, the purpose for your life is multiplied by 2, 3, 5.